We had a very well attended session. The room was quite well populated and indicative of the region that we were discussing. We were discussing South Asia, which, as you know, it's the most densely populated region of the world, 16.5% population of the world, and less than 3% of the land area of the world. So vulnerability, resilience, climate change, and of course resilience and different agriculture practices means a lot to this region. The session had 5 panelists who were policy makers and policy influencers from 5 countries in South Asia. It's interesting how many, the points raised, most of the points raised by the various panelists were very similar to the other regions' points that were discussed. Hence, I would not like to repeat them, but a few additional points that were re-emphasized in our session was, number 1, the emphasis on forecasting. Forecasting of changing weather phenomenon and its impact on crop and animal yield, preparing the markets for that, preparing the policies for that, looking a bit short-term in the front and long-term in the front, and seeing how best our resilience mechanisms will be able to adapt to that. But not only generating forecasting, because we had a large discussion on how many institutes the region has on forecasting and data generation. We also thought it was extremely important, especially for the region, to effectively disseminate the data that is generated by the various institutions. Community development, as it was said, extremely important, but not only building capacities of the community, but also recognizing communities, their existing ways of resilience and how they are coping right now, and leveraging on that, sharing of information between the various countries in the region. A lot of emphasis from all 5 countries was given on taking a value chain systemic approach to the whole issue of nutrition insecurity and weather shock and its resilience towards that. Regional trade and cooperation, it was recognized that this is one of the regions where regional trade is at its minimum in the world, and therefore how do we increase regional trade, how do we increase regional cooperation, especially in the cross-cutting issues that exist. Being reactive rather than proactive. So I think just the way it has been discussed throughout this conference, a lot of emphasis on nexuses between stakeholders and different ministries. But what I would like to add for South Asia is, apart from nexuses between the ministry, if I could bring in one point, that would be a ministry of follow-up. We have a large number of policies. I think what is needed is to take up these policies and implement them.